Hey guys, it's Malachi. Welcome back, or welcome to another video. Oh, I forgot the special guest. Can you say hello? You have anything to say today, Casper? He doesn't want to talk today. Today's video is going to be a bit more serious than my other videos, more along the sort of tone I had for the Sada Abe video, because it is another, I guess it's considered true crime. It's a missing persons case, and unfortunately it is unsolved. This case has been on my radar for years. Like, I first heard of this when I was in, I think it was college, maybe lockdown, I don't know. And ever since I heard about it and looked into the case, I have just been kind of obsessed with it. I've just constantly been looking for updates, and even though unfortunately I don't think we'll ever get an update, it's one of those things where I just have to keep checking, and every now and then it pops up on my feed on like news articles and stuff, and it just keeps coming back into my life. So I have to talk about it. It was inevitable. I had to do it at some point, but I've chosen today of all days to discuss this because today actually marks 10 years since this happened. If you're wondering what exactly happened, we should probably get into it. So on February 26, 2015, a 17-year-old Daylenn Pua went missing while hiking on the Haiku Stairs in Oahu, Hawaii. So, as we already discussed, Daylenn went missing while hiking up the Haiku Stairs, also nicknamed the Stairway to Heaven by locals and many people who adventure up there. I've wanted to talk about this for the longest time. I actually made a video about it back in 2018 when I first discovered it, but YouTube wasn't really my thing back then, and I ended up getting embarrassed and deleting it. But I want to talk about this now because I want to bring more exposure to this case. Hopefully something comes of this video, maybe not, even if it just makes one more person aware of this case, that's enough for me. So without further ado, let's dive into the unsolved case of Daylenn Moke Pua.
Honolulu fire rescue crews searched all day along the ko'olaus behind Haiku village for 18-year-old Daylenn Pua.
A third day of search is over and still no sign of a teenager apparently lost on a forbidden trail. Good evening.
Well, after 4 days of looking for missing teen hikers,
it's been more than a week since a teenager from Hawaiʻi Island went missing.
What is the future of the Haiku Stairs?
Pua was last seen boarding a bus in Waianae yesterday morning. He told his family he planned on hiking the Stairway to Heaven.
Volunteers gathered in Kaneohe on Saturday hoping to find 18-year-old Daylenn Moke Pua.
Kathy, it's a fight against the clock to find him.
their search is over for Daylenn Pua.
You know, you got all the love and the support from your family, from here in Oahu, all over the world, and back home. So come home, Hoki. We are waiting for you.
I just want to say in advance, a lot of these words are Hawaiian, and I am probably going to butcher it because I can barely pronounce English words, so apologies for butchering these words in advance. So Daylenn was known to be quite the adventurous guy. He was forever looking for the next hike to tackle, just always looking for the next adventure. He had a taste for that kind of stuff. And while on a field trip, he would end up staying at his grandma's for the weekend to visit her, and it's while staying at his grandma's that he decided to tackle the infamous Haiku Stairs. I'm trying to do a video, Casper. Don't eat the microphone. So on the day that Daylenn went missing, which was the 26th of February 2015, he would actually take to Facebook and make the status, and so the hike begins, #Haiku. And while he or anyone on his friends list didn't know it at the time, unfortunately this would be the last time that Daylenn ever posted to Facebook. Now before we get into Daylenn's story, I just want to quickly explain what exactly the Haiku Stairs are, because you might be thinking, oh, it's just, a hike, a name for a hike. How bad can it be? Horrific. I'm quite adventurous, but I'm scared of heights. With my illnesses and disabilities and shit, I'm not stepping foot on that thing. Younger me, probably. 23-year-old me, no. So basically, the Haiku Stairs is a set of steel steps that are located on Oahu in Hawaii, which is an island. There are more than 3,000 steps. I believe the exact number is 3,922 steps. I'm not fit enough for that shit. I don't know how anyone can... No. And I thought the steps in Whitby were a lot. Yeah, no, I'm not going up there. And these almost 4,000 steps lie upon Oahu's Koalu mountain range. But due to how high and far the steps go up, it's been dubbed the Stairway to Heaven. And honestly, after hearing about Daylenn's story, the nickname Stairway to Heaven just feels a little bit eerie. It's just, I don't know, can you imagine actually taking that hike and then that's the last hike you ever took? I mean, people have died up there, and can you imagine saying they died on the Stairway to Heaven? Like, that's just insane. We're going to get into a little bit of the history now, so for you history nerds, you're going to like this. So the Haiku Stairs were built during World War II, and they were to provide access to a top-secret US Navy radio station within the Haiku Valley. The US used the base to transmit signals to ships in the Pacific Ocean as far as Tokyo Bay, I believe. But the stairs are kind of weathered, damaged. It's not recommended that you take this hike. It's been deemed very dangerous to navigate, and even experienced hikers have perished while on that trail. So we briefly discussed the Haiku Stairs, their history, and the fact that they're a little bit dangerous, a little bit probably an understatement. But why did the US Navy choose such a difficult to access location? They chose the Haiku Valley as the base for the radio station because of the topography. Basically, the military needed two steep mountains that were similar in height with a valley between them. The Haiku Valley. You know, it was that difficult to access that the US Navy actually received help from the civilians living in the area during the time. But the biggest challenge for them was the landscape surrounding the valley. The cliffs were almost entirely vertical, so one wrong move and you've fallen. And that combined with the muddy terrain just made it very difficult to climb. So naturally, they needed to come up with a more solid plan and ended up hiring Bill Adams and Louis Otto, two experienced professional high scalers for the job. And it took them 21 days. 21 days with minimal equipment to conquer the east of the valley. The Haiku radio station was completed in December 1943. Merry Christmas. After the war, the US Coast Guard actually used the radio station for an Omega navigation system. And fun fact, the steps were originally made out of wood. You can imagine how dangerous that was, especially in wet weather. So in the 1950s, they actually replaced the wood with metal steps, steel, I believe. And thankfully, that made it more accessible. Still dangerous as hell, though. While local climbers did occasionally tackle the stairs, the location itself wouldn't become more popular until the 1970s, when the Haiku Stairs were featured in an episode of Magnum P.I., which apparently is a popular show. I don't really watch TV that much. Netflix and YouTube are more my bitch, so... And I wasn't even alive in the 70s, so that's another thing. And this caused the visitation rate of the Haiku Stairs to absolutely skyrocket. But most of the hikers that were visiting now were inexperienced, and of course this was causing a lot of trouble. People were getting hurt, some people perished. It was a big issue. So because of this, the US Coast Guard thought it was best to just shut the stairs down to the public completely. But of course, this does not stop people from going hiking, because when a human's told not to do something, they're gonna do it. And if you are quite the daredevil, it's the perfect challenge for you. Of course people are gonna do it. I've seen videos of people hiking the Haiku Valley. It is stunning. It is absolutely beautiful. I can't blame people for going up there. If I was in fit health and knew I could get up and down safely, I'd be up there. It is stunning. In 2003, there were plans to actually reopen the stairs to the public and to repair the stairs, but unfortunately, due to the dangerous terrain, the unpredictable weather, the idea never took off. And apparently, it was also dismissed due to the fact that the stairs, the entrance to the stairs anyway, is in a street. Like, it's literally in a residential neighborhood, which pisses off the people who live on that street, which I kind of get if people are parking there all day and being a general nuisance, but you chose to live there, man. Like, if you're going to live at the entrance of an iconic landmark, expect people to be a nuisance and to visit. I know it sucks. I used to live on a street where there were just cars parked all day, and we lived near a school. And that was the reason why there were cars there all day, and that was kind of annoying, but we lived near a school, so what did we expect, you know? Maybe I'm just being an asshole, I don't know. But yeah, the idea never took off because of that, and so talks about the Haiku Stairs just remained silent up until September 2021, when the city council decided to close and completely demolish the Haiku Stairs for good. I keep trying to say high school, I don't know why. But of course not everyone agreed with this because of the popularity amongst hikers with the stairs and the fact that it plays quite an iconic role in the history of the island. The stairs are still standing to this day. I don't really know what's going on with the stairs at the minute. I tried to look into it, but 2021 was like the most recent thing I could find, as in like the talks about the city council wanting to remove the stairs completely, but as far as I'm aware, they're still there. People are still going to this day. Will they be removed? I don't know. But it would be cool if they did fix them, but had a sort of system where, I don't know, you can make it so, like have appointment times and people take you up there, make it safer. I don't know. It would be cool to invest in making it safer and open it up to the public and make it a safer hike and not have it be like some dangerous abandoned thing, even though that does make it cooler, but that's besides the point. But now we know more about the Haiku Stairs, let's get back to Daylenn's story. Now, before I tell you more about that, I just want to quickly tell you some more about Daylenn, because I feel like it's so easy to get sucked into true crime and sort of forget that these are real people with real stories and real people's lives have been affected. So to humanize Daylenn a little bit more, I want to tell you some more about him. So Daylenn Pua, also nicknamed Moke by friends and family, was a 17-year-old teenager from South Kona, which is a different district on the Big Island. You're gonna have to give me a minute, I apologize, this is gonna take me a minute. Because he was a senior at Kekula o... I'm not even going to try to pronounce that purely because I don't want people to think I'm taking the piss. So this is the name of his school, and it was an immersion school in Kalekekua. Sorry if I butchered that. Daylenn actually dreamed of becoming a pastry chef and looked forward to applying to culinary school after he graduated. Daylenn was very outdoorsy and, as we already mentioned, quite the adventurous soul. He loved spending time outdoors, swimming, hiking, and even had a love for photography, which can be seen across his Facebook page and some of the pictures that he took. In fact, his last Facebook profile picture a few days before he went missing is a selfie of him with his camera. And of course, he was clearly very much loved by his friends and family and the community as a whole. So in February 2015, Daylenn was staying with his grandma in Waianae, Oahu over the weekend. And being the adventurous guy that he was, of course, he was going to go and trek up the Haiku Stairs. He didn't care if it was closed to the public. It was an adventure that he wanted to take on. He wanted to take on the challenge. And you got to remember as well, he's a teenager. Teenagers do dumb things. And, we all think we're invincible when we're teenagers. He didn't know he was going to get into a tricky situation. He probably thought he'd go up there, take some really cool pictures and come back down and it'd be another cool story to tell. He didn't know that would be his last hike. And it's really sad to think about, honestly. And again, despite it being closed, Daylenn isn't the only one who hiked that trail. Even today, people from all around the globe come to the Haiku Stairs to go down the scenic route. It's very popular with hikers from around the world. And a lot of hikers don't mind the risk of trespassing just to experience this iconic landmark. So thankfully, Daylenn did actually tell someone that he wanted to go on this hike. Not all of his family knew, but he did confide in his grandma that he wanted to go on this hike and planned to do so. Of course, his grandma was understandably against it, given how dangerous it was, but also because it's illegal to hike. Because of how dangerous the stairs are, they closed it off to the public. And if you get caught on the hike, you could be fined up to $1,000. So yeah, understandably, Grandma was worried about her 17-year-old grandson getting a $1,000 fine and possibly getting hurt on this trail. But despite his grandma's warnings, Daylenn reassured her that it would be okay. Along with people on his Facebook, under the post I mentioned, you can actually see comments where people were warning him about the dangers of it. He just kind of responded like, oh, it's fine, I know a legal way in, which we'll get into that in a minute, and, just reassuring people that he'd be okay. Famous last words. But no amount of warnings from his grandma could change Daylenn's mind. He was determined to explore and conquer all 3,922 steps of the Haiku Stairs. Daylenn would grab his red backpack and left his grandma's house and made his way to the bus stop. Daylenn started hiking up the steep ridge sometime before 11 a.m, posting about his hike on social media while also sending several images directly to family members. But eventually these updates from Daylenn fell silent and he wasn't heard from again after 11 a.m. that morning. Now you may be thinking, Malachi, people go missing all the time. What makes Daylenn's case so special? He probably just tripped and fell down the mountain. Why is this case any different from any other hiker who's gone missing? And what I will say to you is, remember when I said that Daylenn sent pictures? Well, one particular picture that he sent to his family is quite eerie. And while no one noticed it at first, later on when his family reviewed the photos, they would notice a man crouching in the bushes ahead of Daylenn. And of course, this made people, theorists online, suspect that Daylenn had been a victim of foul play. His family, however, just presumed that he'd been followed and attacked. As far as I'm aware, they still hoped and believed that Daylenn was okay. I mean, you would, wouldn't you? If he's your family, you would hope that he was okay and want to hold on to that hope. So, in Daylenn's post, in the comments, he says that he knows a legal way in. And the legal way in, from what I can gather, again, I've never been to Hawaii, I've never been to Oahu, but I've done my research, and it seems that the legal way in is by venturing through Moanalua Valley Park. You start off on the hike in there, and if you trail off a bit, you can actually make your way to the Haiku Stairs. You start off on the Moanalua Trail, you go to the Ridge Trail, and that leads you to the Haiku Stairs. I'm not recommending the hike, and I'm not trying to prepare you for it, but I know my shit. But I'm just trying to make the point that I've done my research. It's thought that Daylenn went this way because obviously he mentioned the legal way, and from his photos, it didn't look like he was on the stairs at all. It looked like he was still on the Ridge Trail. I don't know whether he actually made it to the Haiku Stairs Trail, but to me at least, it looks like he's still on the Ridge Trail in these photos at least, just from videos that I've observed from other people hiking this trail. And while this trail itself is hard enough, what made Daylenn's grandma even more against it and made the hike probably 10 times harder for Daylenn than it would have been already is the fact that 2 weeks before Daylenn went on this hike, a landslide had washed part of the stairs away.
Mother Nature may have put an end to a popular and illegal trail. Haiku Stairs, also known as Stairway to Heaven, was damaged by a landslide. Hikers say it happened between Friday night and Saturday morning when the islands were hit by a storm that brought gusty winds and rain.
But again, he'd insisted he'd be fine, so he went ahead on the hike. As the hours passed, Daylenn's updates just came to a stop, and understandably his grandma was getting worried, but what further increased that worry is when Daylenn failed to return to her house later that evening. She was absolutely sure that something had happened to her grandson, and unfortunately she would be correct. Thankfully, Daylenn had told his grandma where he'd gone, so it didn't just look like he'd up and disappeared without word of warning. She knew where he was heading, and thanks to his social media posts, she knew that he'd made it to his destination, which narrowed down the search. So of course she contacted the local police, and an extensive search of the area was launched the following morning. It frustrates me that the search was only launched the following morning, but given how dangerous that hike is during the day, I can't even imagine how hard and dangerous it would be at night. So I can't exactly blame them for only launching the search the next morning, but it's frustrating nonetheless. And I can't even imagine how his family must have felt knowing that they couldn't go and search for him straight away. That I don't even want to think about it. So on the morning of February 28th, 2015, the area of Moanalua Valley Park was taken over by the Honolulu Fire Department, the US Navy, Daylenn's family and friends, volunteers, sniffer dogs, drones, you name it. There was even a helicopter. They were taking this extremely seriously, thankfully. Because as we all know, unfortunately not every missing persons case gets this much attention. Thankfully, Daylenn's did. They were all hoping to find Daylenn as soon as possible, and it helped that they had drones and helicopters during the search because they circled the trails from above, offering a bird-eye point of view, one that obviously you couldn't see from the ground. But unfortunately, the weather was against them on that day. It was not suitable weather, and the rain made the search efforts harder than it would have initially been. It was already going to be a hard search given the terrain of the Haiku Stairs and the stairs being damaged themselves, but also the fact that those searching for Daylenn were struggling to access his last known location, based on his photos anyway. They just couldn't reach it due to the terrain and the weather and everything. It's just really unfortunate, honestly. Even the tracker dogs that were involved in the case ended up losing the scent. They couldn't pick up on his scent even because the rain washed his scent away. It's so frustrating, like, oh my god, his family must have felt like the entire world was against them. It truly is tragic, honestly. And while the search didn't seem like it was going anywhere, on the 2nd of March 2015, it was reported that 2 hikers who apparently were nurses tried to retrace Daylenn's steps and ended up getting stranded. And while they were up there, apparently they heard someone crying out for help. So, of course, hearing that cry for help, it gave them hope that Daylenn would be found. But unfortunately, it ended up being a dead end because they searched the area where the cries came from, but they couldn't actually go far down the ridge because of the weather again. So that search basically went nowhere, and they didn't find anyone, and the area they were able to access, nobody was found. The search and rescue mission for Daylenn Pua came to an end on the 3rd of March at 4:44 p.m, or at least officially, because while legal rescue teams had given up on the search, his family and some volunteers refused to give up, and they ended up searching the Haiku Stairs for 2 more days. The search itself was obviously dangerous, even for experienced hikers, and it got to a point where several people who were helping search for Daylenn ended up slipping and falling themselves, but thankfully there were no fatalities or like majorly serious injuries. But unfortunately, despite everyone's efforts, the search didn't end up bringing up any traces of Pua. Nothing, not even his backpack. There was no trace of him ever discovered. But going back to that photo that we mentioned earlier, following the day of Daylenn's disappearance, his family and friends reviewed the photos that he had sent to them, and that is when they noticed the man in the image. And this shocking discovery led Daylenn's family to genuinely believe that he was followed and attacked while on the trail. So they showed the image to the Honolulu Police Department, and the police actually decided that the man in the image could actually be a person of interest in the investigation. Because even if this man was innocent and had absolutely nothing to do with Daylenn's disappearance, he was on the hike at the same time as Daylenn. They would have seen each other, so maybe he could give them more answers to the questions that they had. Police ended up putting out an alert to the public, asking people to identify this man, but again, nothing ever came of it. The man was never identified. To this day, nobody knows who the man is in this image. Kind of creepy. And now that we've reported all the officially reported information surrounding Daylenn's case, I think it's about time that we get onto the theories. It's very important for me to stress that these are simply just theories, not facts. Anything I'm about to say now is theories. So don't go taking my word for everything. And these aren't my theories. These are like well-believed theories online. And the most popular theory being that Daylenn simply slipped and fell. I mean, think about it. The stairs were closed to the public due to how dangerous they were. The terrain isn't exactly safe. When it's muddy, it's slippy. There can be landslides. Some of the stairs are missing and broken. Also due to the storm that happened 2 weeks prior to Daylenn's hike that resulted in a landslide, which, by the way, actually left several hikers stranded, and thankfully they were rescued, but still. Clearly, it's dangerous, and I know I've said that a million times throughout this video, but it was dangerous. It still is to this day. Probably even more dangerous now than it was back then. I mean, it's been 10 years, so what kind of state are the stairs in now? If Daylenn had fell, it is possible that the fall was fatal, but if not, then any injuries he sustained could have been serious injuries which prevented him from, getting up and finding help. And something to sort of back up this theory potentially is that a couple allegedly reported seeing a light on the side of the mountain the night after Daylenn was reported missing. But to kind of debunk this, not officially, but to sort of maybe debunk this, it doesn't mean it was Daylenn. Obviously, he had his iPhone on him. He could have been using his torch on his iPhone to try and grab someone's attention, but there is such thing as people who go hiking at night, especially on illegal hikes, in hopes of making it less likely that they'll get caught. And you also get people who go camping at night. Not that I'm saying people are camping up there, because I don't think that's possible unless you make it to the radio station. But I feel like that's more likely than it being Daylenn, but that's just my personal belief. It could have been Daylenn, it might not have been Daylenn, and we will never know. It's literally just all down to speculation. None of these theories have ever been proven or disproven, so keep that in mind when I speak about these theories. There's also the fact that this couple could have been, not maybe telling the truth, because some people, I'm not saying the couple were lying, again, I'm just trying to cover every possibility. While I would like to believe they were telling the truth, it is possible that they were lying. Some people are horrible and they will lie about things like this in cases just so they can get on the news and stuff, Or feel some sort of importance, oh, look at me, I have valuable information, shit like that. It's shit. It sucks, but it happens. So there is that possibility. I don't know who reported that. All I know is that it was a couple. If it's his family or friends, then I highly doubt they're lying. But if it's just some random people, so there is that possibility. And slipping and falling is the most probable reality, but due to the man that hid in the bushes, obviously people online seem to think that he was kidnapped. And here's why I don't believe that. After watching many videos of different people hiking up and down the Haiku Stairs, you are not going to be able to kidnap someone. Trust me. I know I'm showing you clips right now, but it is so thin and the ground is so uneven and it can just crumble away depending on where you are, and it's slippy. There are areas where you need to crawl or climb up ropes. You're kidnapping nobody. You can't carry a person down there, unconscious or conscious. It's not going to happen. I don't care how strong you are. It's not going to happen. And then you might be thinking, well, what if this person had a gun or a weapon of some sort and threatened Daylenn back down? No, you are not climbing down there one-handed. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. I mean, sure, there is a slight chance that it could happen. It could have happened. But really, after seeing those videos, I highly, highly, highly doubt it. There's a lot of reasons why people stop to film instead of filming and climbing up the Haiku Stairs. It's just really hard to have one hand free while climbing. I need to stop doing this. But also the fact that, like, if he was kidnapping someone, it would have been so hard to go unnoticed. You pass people on the trail and you have to wait to let people pass you, or people wait to let you pass. And the illegal way is through a neighborhood. People are going to see you, but the legal way is through a park, Moana Lua Valley Park. There are going to be people in the park. I just don't think it's... No, I don't think it's true. I don't think that happened, honestly. I think that's kind of a shit theory, to be honest. But again, there is no official way to prove or disprove this, so it's a possibility, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Now, this is a little more likely, but there is also the theory that the man in the picture attacked Daylenn. His family seemed to believe that back then. I don't know if they still believe that theory to this day, but when it initially happened, when they found the man in the image, they believed that he'd been attacked. Again, there's no disproving this 100%, but I personally can't really see it, because, I mean, picture it. If you had to attack someone up there, pushing, punching, whatever, one wrong move could cost you your own life. And if he, like, you know, tried to push him or something, there was nothing stopping Daylenn from grabbing onto him and dragging him down with. I mean, who's to say that didn't happen? We never found the guy in the picture. I don't know. But then it's also possible that the man in the image caught Daylenn off guard, especially if he was crouching and hiding. He could have just completely caught him off guard. That is a possibility. But personally, I just, no. I really honestly just believe that he slipped and fell, unfortunately. If this man somehow had to be involved, like absolutely had to be involved in Daylenn's disappearance, the only way I can see it happening is accidental. Say if Daylenn stopped to let the man pass, or the man stopped to let Daylenn pass and Daylenn lost his footing and fell. That is the only way that I can see it happening, that I can see this man being involved. But then you might be thinking, well, if he's innocent, why didn't he just come forward when they were looking for him? I mean, if the victim's family believe that you had something to do with it when you're completely innocent, would you risk your reputation and innocence? Because you have no way of proving or disproving what happened up there. And even if you're not found guilty or anything, you'll have that reputation to your name forever, because there will always be people that believe that you killed that teenager. So why would he want that? Why would he come forward? Again, it's frustrating as hell for the family, but when you look at it from that guy's point of view, why would he come forward? But again, these are just theories in my opinion on said theories, so don't take my opinion for the truth, please. You have your own brain, you don't have to agree with everything I say, so... But feel free to leave your own opinions down below, or even your own theories, just obviously be respectful when doing so. Which reminds me, I am trying to do this as respectfully as possible. I mean, absolutely no disrespect to Daylenn or his family or anyone involved in this case. I'm doing this with the utmost respect. If I seem sarcastic, I'm sorry, that's genuinely just my personality. Honestly, I'm terrible. People struggle with my tone a lot, so apologies if I come off the wrong way in this video. I'm trying to be respectful. At the end of the day, this is someone's son, brother, grandson, cousin, nephew, you name it. Of course, I'm going to be careful and mindful of what I'm saying. So feel free to, like, call me out if I said anything out of pockets, because I don't mean to. Something I just want to quickly add, I didn't write this into the script that I've prepared for myself, but I found this out after, and there's just a few things that I want to add into this, and I feel like they're important to share. I just want to tell you what Daylenn was wearing that day when he went disappearing, and again, it also adds to the theories on why I don't believe some of them happened. He had his red backpack, and he was wearing a white long-sleeve t-shirt with black surf shorts and slippers. Now, if you're British like me, slippers are like these things, house slippers, something you wear for comfort. But apparently in Hawaii, they're like slides, flip-flops kind of thing. Why would you trek up the Haiku Stairs in flip-flops? Like, I don't get it. And it makes me sad, because what if he wore better footwear? You know, it makes me sad. And I also bring that up because when I was watching someone hike up there, he went over some information and he was saying there's lots of forks in the road, elevation changes, ascend, descend, and then ascend, descend, and then ascending again until you reach the radio tower. And apparently at some points the steps even become practically like ladders. And if Daylenn did take the Moana Lua Valley Trail, then that means he did the Moana Lua Trail to the Ridge Trail, which leads you to the Haiku Stairs. But I don't think he got past the Ridge Trail, which is literally just this. And the guy I was watching said that if you're going to climb this, he highly recommends you get like those things you can put on your shoes where it puts like spikes on them. Daylenn was wearing flip-flops. not even trainers. So, you know what I mean? It's very likely he slipped and fell, especially because the paths are narrow. And even if it's a sunny day, I have seen a video where it's absolutely beautiful on one side and sunny, and then on the other side of the mountain it's grey clouds and it looks windy and rainy as hell. Insane. And again, we already mentioned the fact that you have to crawl at some points and even rope, like climb up a rope. I don't think you're doing that with flip-flops on. But once you make it up there, you have to come back down the same way if you choose that trial that I mentioned. You might make it up just fine, but apparently making it back down is the hardest part, and I can fully believe that. So yeah, I don't know, it just seems like he was so set on doing this hike, but just wasn't prepared best for it. Like, I mean, no matter what hike it is, who wears flip-flops on hikes? I'm not trying to blame him in any way, of course, he's a teenager, I just want to put that out there, not blaming him. I did a hike in slides once in Cornwall. I take that back. It was a coastal path, but still. Teenagers do dumb things, and when I say that, I mean no disrespect. It's just a general thing. I did dumb things. I'm 23, I still do dumb things. It's just a way of life, and sometimes, unfortunately, it can lead to that life coming to an end. Teenagers don't always think things through. We're just hyped to do something, and we go and do it, and then realize, shit, I'm not actually prepared for this. And unfortunately for Daylenn, it turned out to be the worst case scenario. But yeah, they're just a few things that I wanted to mention. Apologies if it's a bit all over the place. They're just little like bullet points I wrote down. I didn't actually write it into a script. But I felt that it was very important information to add in, especially if you've never actually been to the Haiku Stairs before like me and aren't familiar with the trail or the island itself. That's important information. And knowing what Daylenn was wearing is important as well. Now, unfortunately, Daylenn remains missing to this day. No trace of him, none of his belongings have ever been recovered. Like, literally no trace. It's like he just quite literally disappeared into thin air. On the 27th of February, the day that I have chosen to upload this video, will mark exactly 10 years since Daylenn went missing. Now, in Hawaii, an individual who has been absent for a continuous period of 5 years, during which time the individual has not been heard from and whose absence is not satisfactorily explained. It's been more than 5 years. So I'm presuming that, unfortunately, because Daylenn was never found and he's never been heard from since, he's declared legally deceased now, which again just sucks. It really does. It is most likely that Daylenn got lost or slipped and fell, and if not straight away, then eventually perished. But due to his body or none of his belongings ever being recovered, they still don't have the closure that they just so deserve. Hopefully one day Daylenn's family will have the answers that they deserve to have. They will receive their closure and know what happened to their son, grandson, brother, nephew, cousin, friend. I can only imagine what it is like to have someone be there and then the next minute they're just gone completely. No sign, no trace of them. I don't even want to think about it. I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't. I've tried to think about how it must be because, you know, morbid curiosity, but I just can't imagine it. While he went missing when he was 17, Daylenn would actually be turning 28 this year, which is just weird to think about because he's always been the 17-year-old in my head. When I first found out about this case, I was younger than him and now I'm older than him. I'm 23. But in reality, he's older than me. He's actually 28. But in my head, he'll always be that 17-year-old, as I'm sure he will to his own family, because that's the age that time stopped for him at. Now, I don't mean for this video to be all doom and gloom, but obviously it is a very serious topic, and while I know a lot of you do like my humour and my sarcasm, I try to really dial it down in these types of videos. Casper's, do not ruin the shadow backpack. I gotta represent my boy, you know? That was really bad timing. As I was saying, I don't really like to add as much humour and stuff into these types of videos because of how serious of a topic they are, but I don't want it to just be continuous, like, depression, so I do add little bits in here and there, hopefully tastefully. I try to keep it respectful and tasteful, but yeah. If you have any criticism regarding that, do let me know, please. That is the end of the video now. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting, do let me know. Leave a like, comment down below, maybe even subscribe. Let me know how you feel about the true crime videos. Do you like them or not? Do you prefer the murder cases? I'm not doing murder videos. Do you prefer me covering murder cases, missing people's cases, or any other kind of true crime videos? Do you prefer solved or unsolved cases? Or do you prefer my more weird videos like mass hysteria and stuff like that? Let me know. Oh, and maybe Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let me know any of your theories. Just all I ask is that you remain respectful to Daylenn and his family. But yeah, maybe even leave your own theory or tell me if you agree or disagree on any of the opinions I have on the theories. I would love to know. Have you ever been to the Haiku Stairs? If not, would you like to go and take on the challenge? Let me know down below. If you can hear him crying, he's just being a shit. Are you being a shit? You can hear people upstairs and he wants to go upstairs, but because he's my dog, he's my responsibility, so wherever I am, he is. Usually he just sits and chills while I do these, but because we have visitors over, he wants to go visit. So I'm going to end this video quickly and let Casper go see people. You going to say bye-bye? Bro really doesn't want to talk to you guys today. What did you do to him? Anyway, I'm going to let the dog out of here and go and show my face to the visitors before Casper eats me alive because he wants to go see people. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.